first edition of Maha Jito Bindipon in association with Raisoni Foundation. I welcome you all. We have a very dynamic personality today for the discussion on her present bestseller. We have Sunita and Bansal with us. A warm welcome to you, ma'am, on behalf of Raisoni Foundation. We are really privileged to have you on this session.
Thank you.
Just a brief introduction about ma'am. Sunita Bansal, a mycologist and storyteller, has been involved in creating types of media for over 4 decades, donning multiple as a writer, editor, publisher, and entrepreneur. In her long and illustrious career, Sunita has headed publishing houses and founded and edited newspapers and magazines for readers in India as well as in the US and UK. She has also worked with channels like Walt Disney, Warner Brothers, Pearson Education, etc. The Times of India, Hindustan Times, and the ABP group of newspapers and magazines as well. She has served as the president of the prestigious Institute of Anthology. She ran her own publishing house and content and design studio, where she developed books for various publishers across the country. The most recent bestsellers are KRISHNA, The Management of Guru, Everyday Gita, and The Return to Vikram and Vedar for general readers. So now you have already covered 30 books for adults and young adults, and you have decoded the philosophy of mythology and 1,000 books of children, folk literature, and scriptures. So Sunita, before we start the discussion in your recent bestseller, I would just like to know about your journey from being a corporate person to an
Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you people, and also about the book that we will be discussing. I'm very happy when I'm discussing that book. As far as my journey goes, it started very early. It started, in school. My writing journey started in school, and I was in class 2 when I started writing, but. And even my interest in mythology started as a child, and thanks to my grandmother, who would tell me stories about all the gods that she had in altar. And so my interest in mythology was part of my life. It was like I was brought up in an environment where we were surrounded by books, and not just mythology, but a lot of spiritual books and a lot of biographies, a lot of commentaries, and so on. So that was my background. So, getting into reading and writing was something which was very natural. It was effortless, I should say. And as far as writing for commercial writing, that's where when you're called writer, because otherwise when you're writing for yourself, nobody calls you writer.
Nobody.
The moment you are writing commercially, then you're suddenly given this label of being a writer. So that started at the age of 20 years. That's when I started writing columns and articles for newspapers and magazines. So that's my actual, you can say the start of writing journey. It's been a long journey. I trained in nutrition, so I wrote about health, physical health, and then I had studied a bit of psychology, so I kind of added mental health to it, and so on. So it kind of, my writing evolved from physical well-being to mental to finally spiritual well-being. So it's been a long journey where I have, worked with various newspapers, as you mentioned, and I also founded, a couple of magazines, spiritual magazines. For audiences in the US, in the UK, and also in India. So that is like, writing, editing, all that. It's been kind of going on continuously. And I had and I started writing for children, when I was running this publishing house called Frank Brothers. You may have read textbooks of Frank Brothers. So there we set up a company called Frank Education Aids, where I started writing for children because I felt that it was important to, give children in their foundational years information about our own culture, our own tradition, the folk tales, the Panchtantra, and so on. So that's when I started writing for children, and then the whole thing kind of carried on, and I set up my own company, developing books for other people. But for the last 10 years, since I shut down my company, I've been totally focused on decoding mythology, demystifying mythology, I should say, where I'm trying to show the practical relevance of our scriptures in our life, in our day-to-day life, because they're extremely relevant. They're just not stories. They're just not, I mean, it's like I always say, Ramayana is not about just playing Ram Leela once a year. Ramayana is something that you live, in your life. So that is my intent, and that is what I've been doing for the last 10 years when I'm creating these kind of books, which are kind of, you can say, where I'm bringing mythology to the level of common man and making it extremely relatable.
Yes, I can totally relate to that because previously we all had been grown up by watching Ramayana on television, right? And it was only 2 or 3 channels which used to come. Today's era and today's generation, they are born and they are given the gadgets in their hand. So, I don't know how and where we will be exposed to our culture and heritage, like you said, the grandmother story or stories. So definitely that I think that is missing in today's generation. Okay, so being, I would say, a mythological guru, because all your books like Ramayana, the journey of Ram, Mahabharata, then Krishna. So, if I were to ask you what inspired you to take mythology as a core subject?
Mythology was, I can't say core subject of writing, but it's mythology is a part of my life, as I mentioned, So it's like if a person is living in an environment where mythology is very normal, it's normalized, it's not something which is, in temples, it's not limited to temples and festivals. It's actually extremely normalized. I mean, my thanks to my grandmother, who would, when she would tell me stories of gods, she would never address them as gods. She had a little puja, she had a little altar where she had this little gods, and then she would bathe them and she would dress them up and put all the tika and all that. And that time, she would tell me stories, but she never said, Lord so and so, this is God so and so. It was always like, this is Krishna, this is, Shiv, this is Shiv's wife, Parvati. So for me, all these gods and goddesses have been like an extended family. So when you are living in that kind of environment, especially in your head, more so in your head, then it's not something to do with your core subject. It's your core being. It's what I am. It's who I am. So for me, it's not special. For me, it's part of me. I mean, if you take this away from me, then I don't know what will be left.
Okay. So coming to your book, the recent bestseller, Krishna the Management Guru. So there are many management theories, there are many management experts in the whole world. How can you choose Krishna as your protagonist? And what is your main purpose of making Krishna a management guru? We all agree he is, but according to your perspective.
Well, yes, you're right. There are so many management gurus, and you're also right that actually there are very many gurus for everything. I mean, especially these days, what with this tremendous boom of social media, like there are gurus dime a dozen. Everyone is a guru of something or the other. So for me, the word guru is I cannot use it loosely because I have also, as I said, I have founded spiritual magazines where I had the chance actually to meet the spiritual masters and the gurus. And every time, what I realized, talking to them, was that whatever they are saying, it's leading to the same point of, self-awareness and enlightenment. And everything, whatever they said, ultimately, I could see that it is coming from Gita. In fact, since I've been writing on these things for so long, I also realized that a lot of what we read in other religions also, if you can call them in religions, because in school you don't really realize that there's something called religion because you're just studying. Then everything seems to be somewhere, connected to Gita, the wisdom of Gita. So Krishna as, the guru is something which I think that he is the Mahaguru, like, he's like the guru of all the gurus. So as far as the guru thing is concerned. But as far as Krishna, the management guru, the book is concerned, at that time when this book happened, before that I had been writing about Ramayana, Mahabharat, Panchtantra, and all that, and all those books I had given the symbolism, the allegorical part of the stories. So I think maybe because of that, that could be one of the reasons why the publisher themselves they got in touch with me, Rupa, and they asked me to write about Krishna, in the 21st century. They told me that, how about writing a chapter about Krishna in 21st century, as to how, he would relate to us. And so and they had asked this thing, they had asked a number of their other mythological authors also to do that. And so I wrote about decision making and Krishna. I gave the story of, because, they wanted something from Krishna's life. Obviously, that is how you explain. So I'd given the anecdote of Govardhan mountain, and I wrote a chapter, and they liked it very much, and they asked me to write a book. And that's when we decided that, we are not talking of Krishna in the 21st century. Let's talk about Krishna as a management guru, because what he's talking about is very relevant to how we are managing not only our, work, our professions, and, in the workplace, or even at home, our lives, everything. So management is something which is not just limited to MBAs. Management is part of our life, even as children, even as, in any field, we are using management. So that's when we decided we'll call the book Krishna, the Management Guru. This is a beautiful cover also they made. And so that's how the book happened. And then they gave me 20 attributes, management attributes to work on. And then I had to kind of study and dig out stories, anecdotes from Krishna's life to explain those attributes. So that was the beginning of this book. And writing this book was also a wonderful journey. So, it's like, because I had no, do you want me to continue answering this question, or you want to put another question to this?
Because just to whatever you are saying, does the book have excerpts from Bhagavad Gita, or is it the modern interpretation? The attributes which you just mentioned.
Yeah. You see, the attributes, no, I did not use quotes from Gita at all, because here I did not want to focus on Krishna's, that Gita aspect, because Gita was one lecture that he gave, right? Now, whereas the various attributes that we have covered in this book, there are very many. And so it was not, it didn't make sense to quote only Gita. So this is from Krishna's entire life, from the time he was born till the time he died. So I took his entire life as my reference. And then I took out, of course, the Battle of Mahabharata was part of it, because that was obviously a huge part of his life. But Gita was not a part of this. His life, the way he conducted his life, the way he handled situations that came across, and how he threw his handling of those situations, what he taught people and what we should learn. That is what I did. And as far as quotes go, what I did was I have quoted people from across the globe on the same topics right through the book, just to show that what we are talking here is universal. It is not something that Krishna is trying to say or I'm trying to interpret. It is something which is globally accepted. And this is, so I just wanted to make this statement that this is a global thing. This is not limited to one part of the world. That was, those are the quotes I used. Yeah.
Yes. And like, we have another panel concept, and there is a channel unity, which is being a subject of research and study for a lot of management people as well. So, is this book different? And what are your perspectives in this book which differ from that?
You see, I actually didn't get the question very clearly, but whatever I got was that you're asking me how this book is different from the other management books. Is that what you're trying to get at? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially
So,
from Chanakya.
okay, Chanakya Niti, yes. Now,
Yes.
you see, as far as other management books are concerned, now when I was writing this book, I had no background of management in the sense of reading or studying management. My background was that I was a CEO of a company, of a publishing house, where I had 200 people working under me. So obviously, I had to manage them. So my experience was, very practical, and it was like hands-on solving of crises. And so that was my background. So when I tried to read various management books and management gurus and management techniques and so on, I realized that they were extremely uh, impersonal. I realized that they were very kind of, cold, and they were something like, very mechanically a person would do. And that is not who I am. That is not how I feel, and that is not how I write. So after going through all that, I just pushed them aside and I said, I cannot use any of these things that people are studying, and I have to create something of my own. So I wanted Krishna to be extremely relatable. So this is one huge difference, This is something which, when you see Krishna as a normal person like you and me, and you see how he has handled a situation, you feel that, oh, I can do the same. It is not something that, you have to learn. It's not a stress on you that you have to remember points, that these are the, 1, 2, 3, 4 points that I have to, handle. It's nothing like that. It's something that you imbibe, which makes it more convenient. And as far as Chanakya Niti goes, I have not, studied Chanakya Niti, but whatever little information I have about it, whatever knowledge I have about it, is I feel that Chanakya Niti was more about governance. It was more about making a person a good king. It was more about that, and it was very different. I would say it was politics.
Yes.
So. So I cannot compare this with the Chanakya Niti at all. That's another another genre. Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas Krishna was born primarily to bring, righteousness, the rule of righteousness in this country, and Bharatvarsh as we called it then, and he could have done it. He could have done it by he. I mean, at the end of the day, he had lots of powers. He could have done it by just maybe clicking his fingers, or maybe playing a tune on his bansuri or whatever. But he did not do that. He lived a full life, and through his own life, he kind of, it's like walking the talk is the term that you use. He actually walked the talk by, by his own actions, by his own behavior, by his own way of handling things. He showed to people how things should be done. Now, that to me is real management, management by example. So for me, that was a huge thing. And that's why I feel that, Krishna is the best management guru ever in the world. And because, yeah.
Yes, please complete.
Yeah. So that is what I felt, that he is, he's talking extremely logical. He makes you question, like the regular management courses, would probably tell you to follow a set path. They will create a path for you, and they will tell you that, okay, follow this path. You cannot look left or right, and you have to follow this. This is what is going to take you to the destination. Krishna has always actually denounced this. He always makes you question. He tells you, question yourself. When somebody's telling you something, question that person and ask him the why. And don't follow blindly. So he's always followed the middle path. He has never been the one to, tell people. I mean, like, he would not advocate, say, sannyas. He would not say leave everything and go and find enlightenment, or he would not say that, go to the other extreme. It's always been a very comfortable, moderate middle path. So that is the endearing quality about Krishna that I wanted to share
Yes.
with people.
But then choosing Krishna as the protagonist of your book, don't you think it also connects to a religion, or it becomes a religion-based topic? Taking Krishna, talking about Krishna. What are
In
your
this
thoughts
topic
about it? Yes.
about
Taking Krishna,
religion.
yes. Yeah. Do you
Okay.
think that taking Krishna is, connecting to a certain religion
No,
and then it becomes religion based? Yes.
no. You see, I told you that I started, earlier when I was talking of mythology. It used to be at that point of time mythology because it was Hindu mythology. But as I grew up and I studied in a Christian school and I was reading more books and more about other religions also, I realized that everything is the same. So I, felt that that is not what I want to talk about. I mean, if you talk about, any religion, I would rather go to the spiritual aspect of it and not talk about the religious aspect. So for me, Krishna has not been a religious figure at all. For me, he has been a friend because if you make anything religious, then the tendency is to worship, that person. And if you make Krishna as Lord Krishna and you put him on a pedestal, then you'll end up worshiping him. And I don't think you're likely to learn anything, because you'll be so busy worshiping the deity. So for me, this is nothing to do with religion. It's a very practical wisdom that I'm sharing from the mythological stories. I don't consider them as religious books. For me, they are telling us how to live life wisely, peacefully, with as one big family, Vasudev Kutumbakam. So all these things I firmly believe in, and so I don't think that when I'm writing about Krishna, then I'm talking anything religious. A lot of people have asked me this question, when they see that I've written about the epics. So I have to tell them that you have not even read my book, and then you form an opinion that I'm writing religious books. I'm actually simplifying a beautiful epic for young adults to understand the story and
Yes.
the characters and the trials they go through and how they come out of it. And in the end, I'm also telling you how to imbibe that and how to use it practically in your life today. So I'm actually demystifying them. So that is something I wouldn't really call it religious.
Yes. So, as you mentioned, there are 20 attributes written. So, are they related with the principles of management which we study, or it is a different take on how to manage your life and the other aspects?
I think it's probably both because, frankly speaking, things like, if I see the book, I've talked about vision statement, for instance. I've talked about team building, for instance, so work-life balance, all these things. I'm talking about time management. So these are actually probably taught in management. You might know better, but uh, I, when I'm talking about these attributes, I'm not talking or as a manager. I'm talking as a person who should understand how to, for instance, uh, decision making or even work-life balance. These things, it's for all of us, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
isn't work-life balance a very common phenomenon that we all go through? I mean, we are working, we could be working from home also, but there is still a work life balance that we have to maintain. So these are very, I would say, um, commonsensical things that one is trying to talk about. Time management. I mean, you don't have to study management to understand that you have to manage your time well. You know, especially if you're like for women, I would say I was a CEO. I was, I had a husband, I had a daughter, I was running a house, I was running a company, but I managed, no? I mean, so it's like time
Yes.
management. I had to do my time management. I didn't have to study management to learn time management and then become a CEO. So I would say that all management is uh, you know effective use of your common sense.
Yes.
That's what
I
I
have
feel.
a very interesting question for you on that point. Do you think management is a science, or is it an art?
Again, you'll have to repeat that. This
Do
echoed
you think,
completely.
yes, do you think management is a science or an art?
This is very interesting because I would say, frankly speaking, I would say it's an art because, in the sense that you have to, um, it's to do with humans. It's to do with
Yes,
relating with other humans, and anything which is like that, I feel is it's like from heart to heart. So I think it's art. This is what I feel. At the same time, people would say that it's a science because there is a formula for it and so on and so forth. But frankly speaking, if you know about how education was imparted in ancient India, then you would know that there were gurukuls, right? So the students were not living at home; they would be living in gurukuls. So and there were no streams of science and humanities and commerce.
yes, yes,
See, so everything was taught through storytelling. So you could say that everything was either art or either science. So I don't know when this whole thing education got divided into various streams.
yes,
But for me, education is education, and I believe very firmly that if we can possibly involve, storytelling in all subjects, then you make the subjects livelier, more interesting, and people would remember everything because in ancient days, um, even sciences, as we call them science, like astronomy, would be taught through stories. There would be a story of Surya Devta and Chandra Devta and all those
yes,
things. So it was like they animated everything. They gave life to everything. They gave stories about everything in the world, in the universe, and through those stories they taught anything and everything. So I feel that style of education was probably far more effective. And but I mean, we are limited because we can't do much, but I try to promote at least storytelling in
yes.
in educating people. So I mean, I've given you a very vague answer in terms of whether it's a science or art. I would say it's education, and I don't think we should divide
Yeah.
education into science or art. I,
Okay.
considering that I have a science background and I'm writing this, okay,
Yes.
it proves that they're all one. I'm using my scientific bent of mind, if you can call it, of doing research and analysis and
Exactly. Right.
data collection and comparative studies and so on in demystifying mythology. So what are we talking about? What is
Yes,
science and what is art?
yes. No, because whenever the word management comes, it differs. Like even if the same situation arrives in everyone's life, it's the way they deal with it. So, then ultimately the part which I would agree with you, the part of comes into that. Definitely management is important. But yes, it has the nations of, as we say, principles of management involved. Okay. So my next question is, in today's generation, if you see, everybody is on the go, in the run, and want to achieve everything in life. Like if you see the life of people 20 years back, and if you compare it now, there's a tremendous change to that because of globalization and because of all the things that are happening today, the fast paced life. So, do you think this book becomes all the more important now, given the scenario with the younger generation and everybody is just trying to achieve a balance between work and life?
Yes, I mean, this is something which I observed because I have two daughters, and this is something which is very right, what you're saying. The generation has, is rushing. It's running all over the place, and they are getting burnt out, and they're confused. So there's a lot that is happening to, particular, I mean, I would say in the age bracket of 20 to 40.
Yes.
That is, that is the age group that I'm addressing, and through my recent books. Because I felt, because having two daughters, and because everything I write is from my practical experience. So, bringing up my girls and talking to them, understanding, their issues. It has, I mean, it's a learning experience. Writers, when we are writing, we are also learning all the time, because that is because we read so much, in order to write. So this book is extremely relevant, and I'll tell you that this book, and this was followed by this book, My Everyday Gita, which is a phenomenon. It's selling phenomenally. It's gone into 9th print. Now, these books are interlinked because Krishna being the same fat person, I find that young people your age group, they would buy the book, and they would then find me on social media and contact me and thank me, that I've written these books. And they thank me because they're able to understand a few things better. They're able to understand how to handle things in their lives better. And also, now they, one of them actually told me that, ma'am, I was scared of reading Gita, because everybody says, you should read Gita and people talk about it. But I was scared because, of the Sanskrit and so on. And after reading your book, now I've understood what actually the book is about. Now I will buy the actual original Gita, and I will try to go through it, because the scriptures, our epics, all these books, they're very intimidating.
Yes.
They're thick books, they're in Sanskrit, and they feel intimidating. So when I simplify them, the idea is that if you get interested, when you read my book, if I'm able to hook you, if you're interested, then you will go and get the bigger version, the more complicated version. So I've done my part by making you take interest in it. So the 20 to 40 age group, as I'm saying, they have really benefited, they have benefited. Some people have also, I mean, I did for 1 year, I did a podcast on this book, and a regular podcast, and the audience was phenomenal. It was an audio podcast on Mensa platform. The audience was phenomenal, and they had, they were very happy to see that there's very simplistic ways of handling things. So these books, they simplify.
Yes,
life.
yes, and which is very much required in our today's generation, because the things are so complicated and they can be simplified. These things are not taught in the school or in our education system. So it becomes all the more important that if we get to read it, or if we get to know it now, not to do it in a simplified way, nothing like that. So definitely it will serve as a guidance to our generation as well, no doubt about it. So Sunita ma'am, what's
one more thing. One more thing.
Yes.
It's through these books, I'm also, especially when conversations like these happen, or in the literature festival, I'm always telling people that please ask questions. What has happened to this particular age group, the youth, is that they are so bogged down by the rules that have been imposed on them. If they're working in office, there's rules there are laws there, at home and everywhere. So they get confused at the end of the day, and they're not able to look after themselves, because they don't have time, and they don't even know how to take out that time. And because they're stuck by following rules, they have stopped using their brain, they have stopped asking questions, so that is where things are going wrong. So I'm always telling them that even Krishna says ask questions. So don't follow blindly. So that is very important.
So today's generation is all about asking Google. Whatever the question has, everybody just goes to Google. Obviously, you know that there are no right answers in that. It's just what is written. So then it was directionless. So definitely this book will give a direction to the generation and the readers as well. Right? So my next question is, Sunita ma'am, what is your mantra of your life and business?
My what? What was the word you used?
Your mantra, or your life. It's
Uh, my mantra is probably very evident in my writing. I sincerely follow Gita. I believe in detachment. I believe in the theory of karma. I feel that if somebody is whatever anybody is doing, they're following their karmic path. So if they say something to hurt you, it's their karmic path that they are creating, and you should not take it personally, because why should you spoil your karmic path, by getting angry? So these are the things which which I would say is my mantra for life. That let other. It's like karma. We should do our best and let God do the rest. Something like that, you can say. So that is what my belief is. That and I've seen it also that I do something because I feel passionate about it. I do something because I believe in it, and I always find that thing to become successful. I always feel extremely grateful that publishers approach me. I feel very grateful that if whatever ideas I have, to write on, to talk about, there are publishers who are willingly taking, those ideas as books. So there is something happening up there. There is somebody who's looking after you. So if you have that faith, then I don't think you will be stressed out, because you'll always live in that faith that you are being looked after. Even if something wrong happens to you, there must be a reason, because nothing happens without reason in this universe.
yes,
That is what I firmly believe in. Nothing happens without
yes,
reason. So once you understand that everything is for a reason, so if anything bad happens to you, you change your perspective. You look at another with another perspective. Finding that, believing that there must be some good that is going to follow this bad, that has happened to us. So that is how I live my life, and that is how I have, I've taught my daughters to live their
okay,
lives.
okay.
Yeah, because it's very helpful. It gives you
Yes,
peace.
yeah, that's why
It
I
gives you,
asked you, because that is also a part of learning, to know how to achieve a perfect balance. And once the perfect is a very realistic word, I mean, perfectionist word. So I don't know whether we will be able to achieve it or not. But always looking after the
it's
people and looking at successful people, it's always great to know their mantra so that at least we know in which direction to move. And I think
you
definitely the book will also serve that purpose.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
and if you understand Krishna, you realize that there is no definition of perfection. Everybody has their own definition. Everybody has their own perception
Concepts.
about anything.
Yes.
So that perception varies from person to person. Every person is different, and as long as you know where your duty lies, and you do it faithfully, you do it with all your heart, without thinking of anything in return. Like, very simple examples I give, that if you are giving a birthday gift to a friend. I'm giving you because these are the basic examples I give. If you're giving a gift on birthday, you give a very expensive gift to a friend on a birthday, then it will be wrong for you to expect an expensive gift in return, on your birthday.
Yes.
That would be terribly, terribly wrong. That
Yes.
means that you have a motive, that you wanted to give an expensive item because you wanted to get an expensive item back. No, that is wrong. That's where that's kind of ruined your karma. The thing would be,
Yes.
the better thing would be that follow your heart, give whatever you want to give. Do not think that you're going to get anything from that person or from anyone for that matter, because it's you will get it from somewhere, may not be from that person.
Yes.
So that is something which is once you understand that, then you're at peace. Then you have no shikayat from anyone, because
Yes. Yes.
then you're always in that mode that, okay, karma is going to take care. No, why should I waste my time and
Yes.
energy in feeling bad or getting angry? It's there. It's karmic.
Okay. Okay. So when I saw the cover of your book, can you just show it once again, Krishna? Yes. So Krishna is wearing a suit, and he's still having that chakra in his hand. So how did this idea came to make Krishna wear a suit?
This was again, the publishers.
Okay.
They felt that because management guru, the connotation of management. Forget about guru. Connotation of management is corporate, isn't it? I mean, that's where
Yes.
the word is used. Management. Nobody talks about using the word management when you're running your house. Do you use that word? No, nobody. But management is used rampantly in corporate world. The corporate world is kind of hooked on to management. It's like management is a major part of corporate world. So hence a corporate suit. But chakra, because
Yeah.
chakra is because that's something which is telling you, like life is like the chakra. It can't, whatever goes comes back, isn't it? I mean, isn't that what life is all about?
Yes.
Whatever
Yes.
goes comes back. So that is how there's this combination of these two elements, visual elements, plus the color element is the guru element.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
color of guru. So
Yes. So when I saw the cover, I had that question in my mind, so I thought, why not ask? All right. So coming to the last question now, what are the three top learnings or takeaways from your book?
oh, only three.
I mean, you can. I know there are more, and that's why I say top three.
There's nothing called top three really, but
Okay.
honestly, I can tell you the interesting takeaways, rather than because
Yeah.
you see, as a writer, for me, whatever, it's like, when you ask a writer which book of yours is the best, and the
Yeah.
writer
I
cannot really
understand.
say. So, if you ask me, then I look at the book and I feel that all of them were amazing, all of them were great, So it's difficult to actually, but I would say, okay, I'll try to simplify. I will not count top three, but I'll give you an instance of this is what I'm talking is the book in a nutshell, you can say, or Krishna's entire management in a nutshell. Now, Krishna was born to bring righteous rule in Bharatvarsh. Now, he had to find the righteous person, the right person to fill up that seat, of the ruler, of the king, of this, the emperor of this whole Bharatvarsh. So when he meets, so this was his goal, you can say, his aim, for being born. Now he has to find the right person, and how he does is when he meets Pandavas for the first time in Draupadi's Swayamvar, and subsequently he makes friends with them, and then he sees them a bit closely, and he feels that Yudhishthir is the right person for the job. Now Yudhishthir had at that point of time, uh, they were not thinking of ruling the country and so on. Now look at how Krishna's brain was functioning. That is what is important to understand from this book, that he identified the person that he needed for the job, and after that, he started following he knew the goal, and he started following the path. How he, and then I've given anecdotes as to how he makes him feel eventually that he can be the king. That is, when they make Indraprastha. So gradually, how he builds up the whole thing into, making even that person believe that yes, I can be the king, and to rule, he had to have huge following. So how by killing Jarasandh he creates that huge army for him, the allegiance of kings for him to make everyone feel that yes, this guy is the king material. So this is how
Yes.
the entire path can be traced as to how Krishna is has a vision. He has a goal, and how he starts moving towards it, and how he kind of creates a team, because that is team building is important. So how he creates team building, and during that, the kind of communication skills that he has. So I've talked about all that and the strategy he follows. So if you follow Krishna's life, all these things are there which make him finally achieve the goal of getting Pandavas to rule Bharatvarsha. So actually, I cannot say one single thing, but I would say that if you read the book and forget about all the attributes, just think of how Krishna did what he came here to do. And that is the one lesson, once you have understood, then it'll help you to, make your own path, because everybody essentially has a different path. Everybody has a different way to even approach a problem, So I cannot really say that follow this particular thing, what Krishna did, because he also did circumstantially, isn't it? I mean,
yes,
it was purely, everything he was doing was circumstantial. He was handling the circumstances. He knew it all along that Pandavas are going to win the battle. They will be there, ruling this country. But at the same time, he made the whole thing happen so that people like us learn from it.
Yes, definitely. So, yes, it was under his guidance that the Pandavas, did whatever they could. And similarly, the same guidance is required. There are ways to do the things, but then there are ways to do the things correctly. So I think the book will definitely. Yes.
No, I would,
yes,
I have a different take on that. I will not say there are ways to do things and ways to do things correctly, because here I have two chapters where I say justifiable means and non-justifiable means.
Okay.
Right. Now, if you read these two chapters and I've placed them side by side, it clearly shows that there are certain things, you do, which are justifiable in the sense that this person needed to be, like, for instance, it was obvious to everybody who saw what Karn did, in the sense of helping Duryodhan when it came to Draupadi's Chiraran, and so like there were a whole lot of things, and of course killing of Abhimanyu in Chakravyuh, Arjun's son. So there were a lot of stuff that had built up against Karn. So when it came to killing him, because killing him would have meant that there was nobody left to kill Arjun, and so the victory was assured. So then it became justifiable, So it was. So then the next chapter says non-justifiable. So what I'm trying to say is there's nothing known as correct or incorrect. It's the ultimate, the larger goal that you have in your life, a larger goal that you need to achieve. That is very important. So Krishna has used justifiable, non-justifiable, both the means to achieve the larger goal, because that larger goal is what is important. So many times you might have to, kind of. Tweak a few things. So when Drona was killed, that was using non-justifiable means.
Yes.
So that particular incident is non-justifiable, but it becomes justifiable in the longer run, because there was no way for them to win. They had to kill Drona, they had to kill Karna, and also Bhishma Pitama. These were the big guys who had to be actually totally removed from the scene for Pandavas with a small army to win. And they had to win because that was, in the larger picture, that was best for the country, for the people at large. So that is what is important. So we cannot say, right, this is the correct way of doing things. I would say that what is your aim? The aim has to be correct.
Yes.
The aim itself has to be correct, and then how you reach it, you have to be flexible to keep changing. Depending on the circumstances. You can't be, you can't just say that this is the only path. It's like the GPS, no? Doesn't it reroute your entire thing? You write it, you write your destination, it'll show you a route map, and then when there is traffic, there's congestion, it'll reroute the entire thing. So that is what you have to do in your life. And that is what the learning thing is. That is
what is management all about in real life.
Yes. That is the reality. So that is the take of this book, is that your goal has to be right.
Yes, very true.
Yeah? Your intent has to be right.
Yes, definitely. So on this note, I would like to conclude this session. Any last message you would like to give to the readers or the audience, ma'am?
I would just say that, if you are reading this book, please follow it with this. Why? Not because I'm trying to sell this book. It's selling in any case. It's coming in Hindi also now. It's because this simplifies Gita to an extent that whatever I have written in the Krishna book will make more sense because you see the larger perspective. When you see, when you read Gita, then you understand the depth of Krishna, and also, the minor questions that you might have, little doubts, niggling doubts that you might have while you're living your life or while you're doing anything or taking a decision, they get dispelled by reading this book, because this again gives the simplest of examples from life and makes everything look very simple. Because I believe that life is not difficult; we make it difficult for ourselves. So otherwise it's not difficult. If you can understand life, it's not difficult.
Thank you so much. On that note, I hope your book provides guidance and direction to all the readers. Definitely, it's already a bestseller. So, we'll not say more about it. So, it's already being loved by the audience. So, thank you, ma'am. Thank you on behalf of the first edition of Namachita Bukitma. I thank you, and I'm really honored to moderate this session, and I got an opportunity to interact with you. So, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. It was a
Thank you. Thank you so much for the foundation, and thank you, Ashwini. Your questions are very interesting. I love the questions because when people have questions like yours, it's again a learning experience for me. So it reflects in my books, in my future books. That's how it works.
I'm so honored coming from you that you really I think I did justice to your book because it's a fantastic book. Even I am tempted to read the Everyday Gita and Krishna management. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you.